Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 1ND podcast. I am your host, Vikash, and I'm joined with my co host.
Hey guys, I'm Sagar.
And today we're going to be talking about our top 10 favorite anime characters.
So I think you can go with your 10 and then I'll go with my 10 and then we just work our way down.
Works with me, dude. My number 10. And if you've been following along, I had never seen Demon Slayer previously, but now I have. And now my number 10 is Inosuke. That guy is so funny. Every time I see him on the screen, I can't help but laugh. Anything he does is just the funniest thing. If he's yelling at someone, it's funny. If he's chasing someone, it's funny. If someone says something nice to him, it's just hilarious because that's never happened to him before. Man is just pure comedy.
I know, he's definitely a great character. I think when he was introduced, him and Zenitsu, it was really a turning point in the Demon Slayer as like a show because just the way their dynamic works is just something special and it makes the show so much more entertaining. Like when Tanjiro, during the first half of the season of the 26 episodes, was going solo with Nezuko and on these missions, it was great and it was interesting. But adding these supporting characters and their dynamic really made the show feel more complete, and it kind of built the universe. So I really enjoyed that fact, and Ionosuke and Zenitsu for me are really, really good characters. I like them a lot, but I think I definitely like Ionosuke more than Zenitsu.
And you gotta have those like support characters. It's your typical shonen anime. Like the thing is, so for me, when Tanjiro goes and he jumps into something head first, it's annoying because you're like, here it goes. You just jump into this puddle and you just expect to be okay somehow. But when Inosuke does it, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it's like his personality, right? Even during the arc with the spiders and the spider demons, when you could see Tanjiro's influence rub off on him a little bit, where he was hesitating, but then he realized, wait a second, my like whole character is to just run in head first, and he did that, and that was a super funny moment in like a really serious fight, and I really appreciated that, and it was really one of the high points of his character for me in the show.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed out. The point in the show where I am right now, he's kind of defeated. He's like, oh man, I'm not powerful enough. Maybe I'm not strong. So I'm sure that's a turning point for him too. But sad Inosuke is not funny Inosuke. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's for sure. It's funny though, like if you read the manga and stuff, he has like plenty of moments that will keep you laughing. So you
Hey,
have a
well, I
lot.
can't wait for that.
Yeah, you have a lot more to look forward to for sure.
You want to move on to your number 10?
Yeah, I think I'll move on to my number 10. My number 10 is from a really niche anime. It came out in I think 2009. It's called Space Brothers. And so the main character's name is Nanba Muta. He's basically the brother of a successful astronaut who is training in Houston and has been preparing to go to the moon. And the story is very slow paced. What I really like about it is the fact that our main character is the older brother, and he's not as successful as his younger brother. His younger brother has been trained through NASA and is already going to the moon on a space mission, whereas the older brother was working a desk job at an office, and suddenly one day he just quits and he decides to chase his dream. And even though he's nothing special in terms of, being uber talented or, special at some kind of trait, he wants to pursue his dream. And I think that aspect of the show is very real and it can be applied to everyday life. How you can just quit your desk job, and if you have a passion for something, you can pursue it. And throughout the show, you follow him and see how he trains, and he actually gets this authorization to train at NASA to possibly be an astronaut in the future. And you follow his whole, yeah, and you follow his whole path, and it's a very interesting show because you get to see how much perseverance he has throughout the whole show, and how there's this group of 10 people, and you have to be within the top two to be selected for the program. And watching how he like builds his leadership skills and how he works with other people, it's definitely a hidden gem of a show, and I really enjoyed it, and that's why I had to put him in the top 10 list.
I feel like I've heard of that show. I think on like some YouTube video, maybe Nux Taku's, but it's definitely one that piqued my interest. I did hear, there are some lulls. You have to like stick to it, but it's a very rewarding anime. So Yeah, maybe I'll give it a try one of these days.
Yeah, it's like what you would call like a slice of life show in some instances where it's really slow, but in that sense, it's like it's not like a blood rush show where like you're pumped up with constant fight after fight. It's more like a relaxed show you can just chill and watch, and it does inspire you, and that's why I had to mention him in my top 10.
Interesting, interesting. Well, yeah, maybe eventually I'll watch it. You know, there's too many animes to watch nowadays. What is that cooking anime?
Oh, Shokugeki no Soma, that's a really good one. The later arcs, it's ended now in the manga. They kind of tailed off, but the first few arcs and the opening was really really good for that.
Bro, I'll be at work and then I'll talk to my coworker and then he's like, "How have you not watched this cooking anime yet?" And he says the whole anime's name every single time. I'm like, "Dude, just I haven't watched it yet. Okay, I'll get to it."
The English name is Food Wars, which is a lot shorter, and it's
Yeah,
definitely
why doesn't he say that?
I don't know, but it's a good show. It's basically like tournament arc after tournament arc after tournament arc in a school with like high stakes. So it's really interesting. I would definitely recommend it.
Okay. Like I said, on the list.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to move on to number 9?
Yeah, I'll go with my number 9. My number 9 is kind of cheating. It's a pair of characters.
I don't like cheaters.
Yeah, okay. Well, these guys are not cheaters for sure. It's from Haikyuu, and it's the two main characters, Hinata and Kageyama. And why I
I
like
bet they cheat.
No, not at all. Maybe if they took steroids, but based on their height, they definitely do not take steroids.
Oh yeah, then how can they jump that high?
Physical ability.
Willpower? BS. That doesn't
No.
exist in the world.
That's definitely something. Yeah, ask LeBron James when he faced the Warriors.
LeBron James is 6'8", bro. You can't compare.
I'm just talking about willpower. He, no matter how much he tried, he couldn't be that team with Kevin Durant.
Hey, exactly. That's why those MFs cannot jump that high in that volleyball anime.
Yeah, so
Or is it basketball?
it's volleyball, and so
Okay.
why I like these characters so much is because I wanted to put them like 9 and 8, but they're just like 50-50 for me in that sense, where I like them both so much, and they're both interesting for different reasons, right? So Hinata is the short one who has a really high jump span, and he's a freak athlete. Just naturally, he has these instincts that are above and beyond anyone else on the team. And Kageyama is the setter. So essentially, he's like the point guard in basketball or like the quarterback in football, right? So he's like setting the passes for people to spike. And watching how they develop and how at the beginning of the show, they're coming into high school with two totally different experiences, one being super successful and one not playing volleyball at all. And watching the dichotomy grow and how they have to come to this one goal is very special. And throughout the show, they both get in a lot of conflicts, right? So Kageyama, the setter, at some point thinks Hinata is not worthy enough to get his passes, and he should not be that important on the team because he's very one-dimensional. He only
trash.
he only relies on his physical abilities, and yeah, so he realizes that he's not as good as he can be, even though he fits perfectly in the system that the team has developed. And it forces him to grow and change by branching off from the team for a little bit and training by himself in different things, becoming more round as a player. On the other hand, Kageyama just needs to polish his skills, but he also learns that he's being self-centered and that to be a perfect setter in volleyball, you have to accommodate for your spiker, right? So whatever toss your spiker wants is the toss you have to give them. It's not dictated by the setter. And so watching how they both evolve to get to their goal, it's very cool, and I like how they develop it in a very realistic way. One thing that separates this sports anime from others is that it's very much set in reality, right? There's no special powers. There's no like you're winning solely off willpower, like you said. There's like systems in place. It's very smart. The play mechanics, the team composition, and how they all work together as these cogs in like a watch. Say these gears all spin together, and when they all click, you get this amazing end result, which I really like about the show, and how these players evolve over time to not only become their best form, but to complement each other, especially with the two main characters, is why Haikyuu is one of my favorite shows.
Well, I hope they focus on their studies too, because when college hits, that's a whole new game, brother.
Oh, actually, what's interesting about it is that the manga, spoiler alert, has a time skip, and they're actually in the pros at this point. So you skip from high school to the pros, and
Storybook ending.
kind of. I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of bittersweet because all these characters you loved on the team, go off and do their own thing, like become teachers, become trainers, go into college, and things like that. So it's bittersweet in that sense, but there's some interesting developments happening in the manga.
Interesting. I'm just trying to be cynical. Like my number 9 pick, Vegeta. I love Vegeta, dude. Especially his Widow's Peak. I think that's hilarious. But you gotta respect that grind, dude. He is the Prince of All Saiyans, but he's not naturally gifted like Goku is. Somehow Goku gets everything handed to him, right? Oh, look at him, Super Saiyajin. And then Vegeta's like, you know what? I want to be Super Saiyan. And then he becomes Super Saiyan. Then Super Saiyan 2. What happens? He becomes Super Saiyan 2. Then Goku becomes Super Saiyan 3. But Vegeta never becomes Super Saiyan 3. He goes the easy route and becomes Majin Vegeta. But, Vegeta, he goes through this interesting character progression to where, he is the most human Saiyan that there is. Goku just leaves all the time. All he wants to do is fight. He doesn't care about his children. Whereas Vegeta, bro, he slapped the ish out of Beerus because Beerus slapped his wife. You think Goku would have done that? Yeah, probably, but just because he wanted to beat up Beerus, not because he slapped Chi-Chi. Anyway, this man always...
You're 100% right.
Like, Vegeta always strives to be as good as Goku, and he can never just get to that point. And then I think something clicked with him in the final arc in the anime where Goku reaches Ultra Instinct. And then, spoiler alert, when you go ahead in the manga, Vegeta actually goes in his own direction. He doesn't want to master Ultra Instinct. And that's something we never see Vegeta do that. He always wants to be the pinnacle of Saiyans, and he sees Goku as that whenever Goku reaches a new tier. But right now, Goku's trying to master Ultra Instinct, and Vegeta is trying to master his own skills. And so, right now, we don't know what's happening. They're both still training in the manga, but it's going to be interesting to see if Vegeta continues on his own route and becomes his own Saiyan. And that's like the ultimate character progression, because he's been going after Goku for decades.
I mean, if I'm honest with you, like, I don't even know if this is controversial or not. It may be. I really don't like Goku as a character. I find him really boring. I mean, I haven't seen Super, but he's just kind of one-dimensional to me. I've always liked Dragon Ball and the entire series for, like, I found Vegeta so much more interesting, Piccolo so much more interesting, Gohan so much more interesting, even the villain so much more interesting than Goku. I feel like he's the strongest and he's the main character, but he's probably really low on the list for me if I were to rank specifically, like, Dragon Ball characters.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. He's Goku, and he's always been that way, and I don't think he's ever going to change.
No, never.
I think that's just how Dragon Ball is going to portray him. I mean, I know you haven't watched it, but when Master Roshi died, quote unquote, in the tournament, Goku, that's those scenes where the anime characters, they get all their strength. And then Goku goes off for a little bit. And then it cools off, obviously, because you can't have Goku just steamroll through the rest of the tournament. Master Roshi's a really cool character, too. But yeah, I agree with you. Goku's not very high on my favorite Dragon Ball characters list. But he is very high on the coolest looking characters list, because his transformations are cool. Even in his Ultra form, I love Super Saiyan Rose. That's a cool looking Super Saiyan. Ultra Instinct looks cool. Vegeta never looks that cool. I'm just saying.
I mean, yeah, I can definitely see that. Plus, most of the iconic moments from the show are Goku doing something. Like, probably the most iconic moment in anime history has to be the first Super Saiyan transformation, right? So there's always going to be, like, a special place in any anime fan's heart for him as, like, the main character.
Yeah, I'll say Goku's the coolest guy, but Vegeta is the best guy. And you know what? I'm going to transition to my number 8.
Yeah, I mean,
because
I was
it's
going to
also
say,
a Dragon Ball character.
Yeah, since I basically had like 2 for my 9 and 8, you could go with your 8 right now.
Yeah, and I didn't cheat. My number 8 is the greatest dad of all time, Piccolo.
He's the GOAT.
He raised Goku's child. And Goku's child, arguably, that man, he is intelligent. Goku's child being Gohan. He's intelligent, but he showed that he can actually, keep up with all these Super Saiyan transformations and whatnot. Obviously, he's not going to be Super Saiyan Blue. He's not going to get to that Ultra Instinct. We're always disappointed in Gohan because we thought he was going to take over when he beat Cell. But he didn't. But he's still cool. Piccolo's always there to support him. Piccolo's always there to support Goku. He's always there to support anyone. And you gotta respect that. And he keeps up too. Special beam cannon like I'm Piccolo. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, just to go on that tangent about Gohan a little bit, I'm not sure how true this is, but I was like hearing rumors about how the original Dragon Ball Z series was supposed to climax with Gohan beating Cell. So maybe they just didn't have any.
You never know with those rumors.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they didn't have any more plans to develop him after that, but that would have been a really cool place to end it.
Yeah, but then we would never have all these super cool transformations.
That is true.
Arguably, my two favorite Dragon Ball not even arguably, my favorite Dragon Ball transformations are Ultra Instinct and Super Saiyan Rose.
Those are. I mean, I have no idea because I actually have not seen any of Dragon Ball Super.
They look cool, dude.
They do look cool. They do look cool.
And that's all I care about. And when I'm watching Dragon Ball, I don't care about anything else.
Yeah,
it just has to look cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I'm definitely want to give that a chance. Like, whenever I have time to watch 100 episodes. But we'll see. I'm trying to finish that probably this year. Maybe that should be my New Year's resolution. Watch Dragon Ball Super.
Maybe someone has like a Dragon Ball Super Kai type thing.
Yeah, maybe I could watch that. Anyway,
you want to move on to your number 8?
I'll move on to, my number 7 technically.
You were bunching your 9 and 8.
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't cheat.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with my number 7. And see, like, it's very hard because all these characters are so cool. At this point, they're basically in my top 10. There's like 1 or 2 that I really want to put high. But in this, like, from 7 to 3, they're all really good, for me. So my number 7 is from the Naruto series, and it's Sakura. I just appreciate the fact that you can have such a useless character. I just found the fact that you could pull off such an amazing feat of writing a truly useless character like an accomplishment. Well, okay.
Can I guess your actual character?
Yeah, I guess my actual character.
All right, I don't know much about Naruto, and I don't know much of your opinions on Naruto, but is it Madara?
No, it's not Madara.
Is it a hero?
It's a Uchiha.
Itachi.
Yes, it's Itachi.
Goated brother.
He is the goated brother. If you think of it. So the whole fact in Naruto where he's portrayed as one of the primary antagonists was super interesting, right? You see this villain and he's very much surrounded in this mystery of why would he kill his own family. It was always shady to me. And that was Sasuke's entire motivation, right? To get strong and beat his brother. And then when you go through Shippuden and you find out the reality behind the fact and just how smart this character is, where he planned everything meticulously. Whereas when he worked with villain groups, he would not be taken advantage of. He knew exactly what he was doing, and it was all to get Sasuke to this point of being strong and to protect his brother. It's also very amazing at the sacrifices he was making, where he was part of this clan, but he worked directly under the third Hokage, who ordered him to assassinate his entire clan. And just his devotion to the village in that case is also very interesting. And the fact that he's an Uchiha that valued the village over the clan, whereas other Uchiha in the past did not value the village as much. And watching him throughout the show take the actions that he did was super, super amazing. And he's really strong. And if it wasn't for his sickness, I'm sure he would still be alive. He would not have lost to Sasuke. And then when they bring him back towards the later half of the show, he was ready for that as well. Like, he was expecting things to go down with Madara. And just him as a character kind of encapsulates this. I wouldn't even call it anti-hero. How you have this villain who turns out to be a hero in actuality, and is probably the biggest plot twist in anime, in my opinion, because you have no idea that that was coming.
I think it was predictable. Just kidding. Haven't seen it. Rest in peace, Itachi, dude. That guy, man. I think he should have killed Sasuke when he had the chance.
I mean, if I'm being honest, yeah, probably it would have been more interesting. I do not like Sasuke.
Imagine he just lets Sasuke like kill him, and then when he touches his head, he just like kills him right there.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I just did it all for no reason. And then everybody else dies because, I guess Sasuke's pretty important.
Yeah, I mean, he is the secondary, like, main character.
What do you mean, dude?
You think it's Sakura?
Yeah, dude, obviously.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Any self-respecting anime would always have a female as their second best character. Like my number 7 character from an anime that's called Fairy Tail. Do you know who it is? It's not Lucy.
It's not Lucy. Is it Wendy?
No.
Oh, is it? Is it? Okay.
You want to guess? He
no.
has yellow hair. His name is Laxus.
Laxus? You like Laxus? Okay.
Dude, I F's with that man heavy. Dude, Laxus is such an interesting character because he's just so strong. And there's a whole arc where he tries to just take over Fairy Tail. MF literally, like, takes over the entire village in order to try and, like, pull Fairy Tail out and then try to get rid of him so that he can become the leader and take over. Because he doesn't like how it's run. He doesn't like how everyone's pretty happy-go-lucky. He wants everyone to be serious. And then he loses to Natsu, obviously. Who else is he going to lose to? And then you see him, he gets kicked out. But all of Fairy Tail, there's this cool gesture during a parade, which I really enjoy, where they hold up this sign that Laxus has known for his entire life from his grandfather, who is the leader of the guild. And the entire Fairy Tail guild is holding up that sign, and it shows that they still support Laxus. And that was strong because they literally just fought a whole war against that guy, and he just got banished from the guild. And then he comes back, and he's so cool. And then he saves everyone by sucking up these particles that should not be able to be sucked up. And then he almost dies, but then he doesn't, obviously, because it's Fairy Tail. This guy's just cool, man. I think he's cooler than Natsu. He's just more mature, I guess, but also just stronger, it seems. And he's not even a real Dragon Slayer. He is a second generation Dragon Slayer, which means he got like a gem, a lacrima, and he ate it. And he became a Dragon Slayer because he was weak as a child. And so, I don't know. It's like, he goes through an interesting character progression. I like people who go through character progression over the course of an anime. And he's the one that went through the most in Fairy Tail.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Fairy Tail for me is that there's a lot of great characters, but for me, I never really had a favorite from the bunch. I think, I forget his name. Who's the Natsu's brother? Who's the villain?
Zeref.
Yeah, I think he's a super cool villain. Like his villain, his
Villain.
name. Yeah, his name is very cool. I like there was like a lot of mystery around him, and I like how the show had a lot of foreshadowing in it, like what the event you're talking about where he was going to take over the guild. And I think at the time it was Natsu, Wendy, and Gajeel who could not participate because of a certain age requirement. And then later on you find out why that was. So I thought that was like a really cool foreshadowing event.
Yeah, that was interesting. I didn't know you knew that much about Fairy Tail.
I finished the original series.
So essentially, like, that age requirement was to get the master of the guild to be stuck inside the building.
Yeah.
And then none of the, the Dragon Slayers could do it. And then you find out why a long time later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of good foreshadowing in that show. I liked Zeref up until the final arc. The final arc in general is pretty trash.
I have not watched it.
They just wrap it up. It's kind of annoying how everyone just dies. But yeah, I don't know. Not all the villains, obviously.
Okay. Oh, I was like, what?
They should just be OP. They should be so OP, and then like some BS happens, and they all just die in such BS ways. It's weird. I mean, it makes sense, but come on, man. You could have just stretched it out longer.
Yeah, for sure. You want to move on to your number 6? Is it now? Yeah.
Yeah, I can go with my number 6.
Yeah, go for
It is a small white boy with white hair. You want to guess?
it. I do not know.
He's an
Drawing a blank.
assassin. Killua.
Oh, wow, duh.
That kid is definitely an interesting character. I like his character progression too, because he goes from this assassin who, rather emotionless, and then he joins Gon, and he kind of gains emotion as he goes, and becomes dependent on Gon. And you kind of see that his happiness is linked to Gon's happiness, and his progression is linked to Gon's progression up until the Chimera Ant arc, because the Chimera Ant arc is when Gon just kind of goes bonkers.
I think
don't
that was
know.
a super cool aspect of it, where Gon is becoming more of a monster, and Meruem is becoming more human. I thought that was a really cool aspect of that arc.
I thought that was pretty cool too. But I also just liked how Killua just had to learn that he couldn't depend on Gon. Gon kept doing whatever he wanted to do, and then Killua would always try and pull him away, but it just would never happen. Nothing he would do would pull Gon away. And then I think there's like a moment where he figures out that he cannot rely on him anymore, and I think that's when he just goes and kills like 3 Chimera Ants or something. I forget really, but I don't know. He's just an interesting character, and he is just so OP too. He's just like 5 years old, but he can just kill everything. I don't know. It's fun. He's a fun character to watch.
Oh, yeah, no, he's definitely interesting. I have a character on my list, but it's not him. I'm guessing you probably have another character on your list from this show.
I do. He's
Uh,
next.
He's next. Okay. Well, he's next for me too. So,
Alright, yeah.
my favorite character from the entire show of Hunter x Hunter. You want to guess?
Dude, it has to be that fast Chimera Ant, the leopard guy.
Oh, yeah, dude, totally. No, it's that dude who gave out the orange soda in the Hunter exam.
Oh, facts, dude. He was awesome.
No, all jokes aside, it's Hisoka. I think Hisoka is my favorite. I don't even know if he's a villain or not, but
He's a pedophile.
yes, and that's one of the reasons that I do not like him. But he's
What, you don't support pedophilia?
no, dude, no pedophilia. 2020.
Dude, that's a hot take.
Yeah, I don't know if you should say that, but okay. So
All jokes.
yeah, jokes aside, he's just super interesting. Where he's this character in the beginning of this show who's super OP, and he's taking this Hunter exam, and he's shrouded in this mystery, and at any time you feel like he could have killed any of the main characters, and then you're like, oh, okay, he didn't because they're the main characters, but later, like, he's pretty, like, ruthless. Like, for example, the first time you get to see his power against the person in the battle tower was a super interesting moment for me, and made me respect the show a lot more, because of how the Nen Master that Gon and Killua were training under had the video for them, and they could see the video of Hisoka versus this dude, and how Hisoka's not OP. He has a really, really like down-to-earth ability, like with his Nen, bungee gum. It's like bubble gum. Like how could that be OP, right? So the way he cleverly uses it, and is willing to go to the extent of sacrificing an arm to go through with his illusion, which again builds on that clown and like circus motif, magician motif, was super interesting, and it added like another layer to his character. He's not just like a villain, but he's a very smart, calculating, and manipulative person with one goal, which is the same goal as Goku, just to fight strong people, which was super cool. And then I feel like one of the reasons I did not like the Chimera Ant arc as much as I did was because Hisoka was barely in there, and he always had this like wild card to the story. I think he's the reason I really loved the training arc, where they go to the island through the game that Gon's dad built, and then how he joins them.
Greed Island.
Greed Island, yeah, one of my favorite arcs, just because Hisoka's in it, and he was so like unpredictable to the point where he was even teaming up with the main characters to get those cards that they needed. And that dodgeball match was super, super fun. was one of the most like fun moments for me in the entire show. And so all those things combined, and how he's not, I don't even think I can call him a villain. It just very, he's shrouded in mystery in that sense. And that's why he's definitely a top 10 character for me. And he's the only character from Hunter x Hunter on my list.
I was gonna say the same thing. I don't think he's really a bad guy.
Except for the pedophilia.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. You can't. Besides the pedophilia, he's a bad guy. He's a pedophile. But he has a really cool Nen power and like in his bungee gum, and yeah, the wild card factor is just what the show really needs. Like, you'll have this like really happy-go-lucky sequence, and then he comes in and then throws it all for a loop, and then you have this super sad sequence, and then he comes in and throws it all for a loop, and then like you just never know what you're gonna get. And you can, if one thing's for sure, you see Hisoka, you know something's about to happen, and that's exciting. And when you can get excitement just off of seeing a character, then that's a good character. I don't think there's much else to say. You kind of wrapped it up on Hisoka.
Yeah, I think I did. I mean, I think we were both in agreement on him. He's super cool.
Definitely.
Okay, I think I should go to my number 4. No, I think I'm on 4. Yep. So, it's from One Piece, and it is actually the main character. Which, if you've noticed through this list, I don't think we've really mentioned like the main character as being in our top 10, right? So this is super interesting because Luffy, even though One Piece is such an expansive like series, it spans over 2 decades, 900 episodes, 1,000 manga chapters. He's refreshing in the sense that he really doesn't care about much, but when he does care about something, or when his Nakama ask him to help, he goes in like 100%. He's ready to die for them. So I feel like that aspect of his character makes him a really good captain, first of all, and why he has the respect of his entire crew. And then again, the fact that his power is not super OP. He's not like destined to be the Pirate King, which he wants to be. He just wills himself to go that far because that's what he wants to do. And the reason he wants to be the Pirate King is because his belief is that the Pirate King is the freest of all the people in the world, where no one has to tell him what to do. He can just do whatever he wants. And that doesn't mean he's bad in the sense of what he wants to do. He just wants to live freely. That, and the fact that, there's some really interesting like theories about this, but why Shanks had the gum fruit and how Luffy ate it and he's like the rubber man, which is on the surface such a like stupid devil fruit to consume because you just turn into rubber. But the way he like has creative ways of using it, of course this is all done through the author, but it's super interesting how he has these gears that he goes through.
You're right. I did find it very interesting when Gildarts gave him that fruit.
Gildarts, right? The goat. And so just his aspiration to be the Pirate King and how he won't take no for an answer, even if he's fighting someone who's insanely like more strong than him, he still finds a way to win. And it's not pure BS. He either gets the help of other people or he, does not win, right? In the case of what's currently happening in the manga, where he basically got one shot. We're 20 years into this show, and he can get one shot still. So he's very grounded in the power scaling of the universe in that sense. And then what also makes him really good is just his personality, in the sense that people are naturally drawn to him. So whichever island he goes to and whoever he befriends, there's some sense of endearment there, and it feels very real in the sense that he really doesn't care about small, like, minor details of things. But if someone needs help or if something's wrong and he feels like it's wrong, he's going to go out of his way to fix it. So in those situations, I feel like he's, like, bold-headed, but he also is very aloof. And I think that makes him really interesting and unique.
And that's why his name is...
Yeah, Monkey D. Luffy. Yeah, he's an enigma. Plus, what I found really funny was how he's so aloof that he... when his granddad comes in and tells him if he met his dad yet, and Luffy's response is that he didn't know he had a dad. He's just like, I had a dad. So he's like very funny in that way. And he doesn't really care about status. That's not why he's after the Pirate King title. He just wants to be the freest in the seas.
I like characters like that where they're just happy-go-lucky, but also they can get serious whenever they want. It's like you know, the formula that Goku created, but more hashed out, I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know much about One Piece, so I can't really comment on Monkey D. Luffy. But what I can comment on is my number 4.
Go for it.
My number 4 is Saitama.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I like him so much because this is a man that essentially embodies the fact that if you work, you can work hard and you can work too hard to the point where there's no there's not much left for you. You know what I mean? To where you need to enjoy life and enjoy your points in life without trying to skip to the end. This man trained himself straight into nihilism. He doesn't know what to do with his life.
Yeah.
He is too strong, and you need to avoid what Saitama did, yet he is such an interesting and funny character. And I do like how, even though he is essentially a nihilist, he can find joys in things, or like challenges and things like video games. And I 1v1 me on Rust, Saitama, I'll beat your ass because, you know, you suck at video games. I don't. I think I could take Saitama in Call of Duty any day.
Okay. I definitely think that, like, the first season was very comedic. And in the second season, which I've watched only a few episodes of till now, there's this sense of him being very depressed, right? He was super monotone in season 1, don't get me wrong. But this season felt different, like his personality. And again, like you said, I feel like he needs to, like, the lesson here is you need to enjoy the journey to success, right? If you reach the summit and he's like at the peak of like existence, like he's there, but there's nothing fulfilling to him. So he needs to find the joy in the people around him and just living life.
You kind of just skip to the end of any kind of shonen with One Punch Man because I bet his training. I mean, I guess he did do the same thing every single day, which wouldn't have been very entertaining. But it's definitely interesting. I enjoy Saitama as a character. And it's more of the fact that he's unintentionally funny, but that he embodies this thing of strength that I don't think anyone should even strive to be.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's just like highlighted even more by the fact that everyone around him is so over the top with their actions. Like, I mean, it's in anime, right? So everything is over the top, but like how the characters are reacting to him, it just further highlights how monotone he is.
I also like how he balded, because I am balding.
Yeah, same. Even he
That's
cannot
all.
stop his hairline from receding.
Exactly. You want to move on to your number 4 now?
My
What
number
did you
3.
want- Your number 3, okay.
Yeah. So my number 3 is from Gintama, my favorite anime, and it's once again the main character, Gintoki. I just find him like a super cool main character because, so before I start, like Gintama's a very segmented show where the arcs are like 2 to 3 episodes long, with a few serious arcs thrown in, which are like at the most 15 episodes long. And you have this character who's also, I guess he's nihilist. He's very depressed. He lost the war. He lost his family. He's surrounded in mystery. You have no idea what happened to him in the past. But he's still trying to live and see the next day, right? Everyone he knew died. Everyone he's close to is gone. But he's still trying to work these odd jobs. Even though he's this super strong samurai, he's working as like an odd job like man who just does some random job someone needs done. So, despite being so depressed, he has this attitude of, continuing on with life. Keep on going forward, even if there's nothing you find pleasure in. And eventually, with the other supporting characters, he starts building this family, essentially. And it's interesting how he really doesn't care about too much. He's very selfish, but when someone needs him, he'll show up. And he's super funny. He's like, he has me on the floor all the time because of just his reactions to things. And then sometimes, again, he gets serious. It's very different from the Luffy situation where he can be funny and then serious. In this case, Gintoki can be serious on like the flip of a dime. Like straight away, the tone shifts in Gintama are insane. Like you can go from crying from like laughter to crying from sadness to like crying from just being scared. It's like it's it's super interesting, and him as a main character is just perfect because he everything just goes through him. He's like the person who reacts to everything, but he's also the main driving force behind everything.
Yeah, I mean, he sounds like a funny guy, and without him, you can't really have the anime at all, right? So like, anything you hear about the anime is about Gintoki. It has is some aspect of Gintoki. There's no like, I mean, since I've never seen it, from what I've heard, all the fights that are cool involve him. Anything that's funny involves him, and like so, like all with all these other animes that we've talked about, all these supporting characters are super cool and can drive the anime or drive an arc, but with him, he's driving that entire anime, carrying it to being one of the greatest animes of all time.
It's super funny because like I was saying earlier, he is the Silver Samurai, right? He is this OP dude who's super good at fighting, but at the same time, he can be so like useless and just screw things up so bad in like situations where he gets a job that it just that dichotomy there of him being this OP dude but like screwing up the simplest thing, it's just hilarious. And like one of the funniest episodes for me was when he's at this house where he's trying to rescue one of the main characters, like a supporting character. And so it's him and two villains, and they're all in stalls in a bathroom. And the whole point of this like episode was them trying to fight because none of them have toilet paper, and they're trying to figure out how they can like wipe to get out to save like the main character or to like capture the main character, right? So he just goes with the flow, which just makes it even more funny when he's this OP samurai who could go in there like just kick butt, come out and just end of the day, but he just goes with the flow, and it makes it so much more funny.
Yeah, that's definitely an anime that I think I would watch, and I think I would definitely enjoy.
I recommend it.
That's one I would probably bump up to higher in my list because when I watch anime, I like to see like cool fights and funny stuff.
It's so funny. It's probably this show has made me laugh more than any other like show, like even non-anime shows. It's made me laugh the most.
Hey man, gotta give it a try one of these days.
Yeah.
But moving on, my 3 and 2 are kind of tough. They're from the same anime, so I might just bunch them together.
Interesting. Okay, go for it.
But I won't. Number 3 is Bon from Seven Deadly Sins. And I think Bon is just such a cool character. He can't die, but he's human. He can't die because he got this water from a fairy tree, and then he's just like anytime he gets slashed up, he just comes right back together. He can literally be splattered into pieces and still survive. So he's this immortal being, but he's not very like he's strong. He's very strong, but he's not the strongest. You know what I mean? And so he's always constantly fighting these battles, and his upbringing was terrible, and the woman he loved died, and then he came back to life and died and came back to life. And so it's like he's got this never-ending life of turmoil, but then he's got this interesting relationship with Meliodas. And I love Meliodas as a main character. He's just super short, which is funny. But like obviously way too OP. And most of why I like Bon comes from later in the manga and his actions later, to where spoiler alert. Do you want to be spoiled, or should I skip that?
I mean, you can go for it. I mean, I'm going to watch it, but typically spoilers are okay for me. I don't mind.
So Bon goes to purgatory to save Meliodas' emotions. And it's this whole convoluted thing as to how that happens. But he goes there, and right when he gets there, his whole body gets disintegrated. And then he comes back. And it's not like he doesn't feel pain. He still feels pain, even though he comes back to life every single time. But he's in purgatory, and he has to endure his body getting shredded millions of times. This is such excruciating pain, and he's doing it just for his friend. And for the, whole race. Like, everyone's depending on him. But he continues, and he tries to survive, and then by the time he survives, he's weak. By the time his body can just, you know, keep up with purgatory, he can't because he's so frail, and then he has to learn to fight all these things, and he finds Meliodas' emotions, and he gets him, and he saves him, and he's always just trying his best. And someone who strives that much, and one of the reasons I like him is because he is the most loyal person there is. It doesn't matter if anyone's wronged him, if any of his friends are misunderstood, if he has to keep something secret, and his friends will hate him because of it, and it's just like a misunderstanding, he'll continue and he'll go with the flow, even though his emotions are hurt every single time. This man, he's just goated.
Yeah, I mean, he sounds like a good character. He sounds like a really good like support character. I don't even know if like I haven't seen the show, so he sounds like a super duper cool character. And since you had him in Bunch, you want to go with your number 2 favorite character?
Praise the sun. Escanor is number 2. That man, you would think a guy full of pride, you know, he would kind of be one-dimensional, maybe two-dimensional, since at the nighttime he turns into this little frail guy. But no, Escanor, this man, the embodiment of pride, goes through character progression, and that is amazing. This happens in the manga, so spoiler alert again. But usually, Escanor doesn't care about anyone else when he is in his sun mode. He is so prideful because he thinks he is the GOAT. He is the GOAT. I have to say it, by the way. I mean, nobody tops Escanor. And he has to not only once but twice give up his pride to help his Nakama. You know what I mean? And so what Escanor does is more thrilling, so I won't tell you what happens, but this man, he goes through such cool character progression. But besides that, he's just so cool. The things he says gives me goosebumps. Like, if he's in a fight, I know I'm ready for something cool, and I get goosebumps every time he says something. Oh my god, he's just such a hype character, and that's why I like anime. I just like hype.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good reason to watch anime for sure. I'll move on to my number 2. And my number 2 is from My Hero Academia. You want to take a guess?
Is it... Oh, I was trying to think of the word. Oh, what's that purple hair guy?
I don't even know who you're talking about.
The guy who sticks
Shinso.
onto stuff.
Oh,
Is that
sticks.
his name?
Oh no, you're talking about grape dude, grape boy.
Yeah. Or let's just skip this bit. It's Mirio.
Yeah, it's Miria. You're right, 100% confirmed. So before the anime, I know this is a favorite anime, but he's still my favorite in the anime and the manga. He's just a character. When you're introduced to him, you're like, oh man, he has this super OP quirk. And then while I was reading it in the manga and watched it in the anime again, you realize how much this man had to train to get his quirk to the point where it is. And it like opened the My Hero Academia universe to this point of like, your quirk can take you like to the end goal. You have limitless potential. If you learn how to apply your quirk, and incorporate it with other things, right? So the other thing he learned under Sir Night Eye was, anticipation, and you build this through experience. You just predict, and you can predict like many more things if you just go and experience things. And those experiences may be hard and they may knock you down, but at the end of the day, you'll become stronger through them. And so when you first see his quirk as being super OP, and then you realize all the drawbacks of it, like the fact that he cannot see, and how he cannot breathe, and how he cannot hear, it was like so mind blowing because you don't stop to think about these ramifications that quirks may have. And the fact that the author of this manga went to this extent to explain how it's basically physics in this case, where these everything goes through you, right? You wouldn't stop to think about that. Like, wait, so that means no light particles go through, no air particles go through, nothing goes through him. I mean, everything goes through him, right? So in that case, that was a mind-blowing part for me and just made me respect his character so much more. And then the fight he had with Overhaul, where he just destroys Overhaul. No doubt, this guy is probably the strongest in the My Hero Academia universe, besides All Might in his heyday, right? and then the sacrifice he makes was super impactful. But what made that moment even better for me, which they did not do as well in the anime, but they did a lot better in the manga, was he continues to fight. And he continues to fight for much longer. In the anime, they made it seem like it wasn't too long, but in the manga, it was a narration, and it said 2/3 of the fight, this man was fighting Quirkless against Overhaul, a super OP villain who could destroy people in his own organization, for example. Like the big dude who fought Red Riot, who could like destroy Red Riot's hardening in one punch. He beat that guy like 3 times. So Togata, without a quirk, was able to stand his own ground against Overhaul, which was super impactful. And another thing is that, he's not really in the story too long, but neither is Stain. And Stain is regarded as one of the fan favorite villains in the show. And he was in the anime for like 3 episodes. In the manga, he was there for like a couple chapters, maybe not even 10 total. I think it's not about the time these characters were on the screen or in like the pages, but it's the impact they left on you as a reader and how they impact the overall universe of the story you're in. And for those reasons, Miria is my number 2, like top character of all time.
If Mirio were cooler, then he would have avoided that bullet. Get wrecked. No quirk gang. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I love Mirio too. That man, he's one that can change your mindset. And when an anime character can change your mindset, maybe not about real life, but about the whole world and how people can become something in My Hero, you still have confidence in him to become a hero. He is what Midoriya should have been. He should have. Yeah. Granted, he lived his whole life with a quirk and all this amazing training, and he had to train so hard to make his quirk work. But at the same time, Midoriya never had a quirk. He could have been training his whole life, but he's just studying all these characters. I know it comes into use. It's very useful later, but at the same time, Mirio is going to be this amazing quirkless hero who's going to be awesome in the future. And I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be exciting. I don't know how they're going to handle his quirk. There's some pretty interesting development in the manga. Again, I think you've read more than I have now, so yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with him.
I'm curious as well. They're saying, I think they said it in the anime, so it's not too far in the manga. They said that Eri could develop her quirk to the point where he could get his quirk back.
Yeah, she could rewind him to a state with his quirk.
And so it'd be interesting to see if he would actually accept it when she actually has the capabilities. Yeah. I think he's going to develop into this amazing character that doesn't need a quirk, and then given the opportunity, he might even decline it, just like he did with One for All.
Yeah, One for All. It's always confusing between All for One and One for All.
Yeah, I didn't want to mess it up because they're polar opposites.
Yeah. All right, you want to move on to your number 1?
Yes, because I don't want to say too much about this because this man, he is truly the GOAT.
Can I take a guess?
Go for it.
Is it Corey from Corey in the House?
Man.
Or is it his dad?
Spoiler alert, dude. You can't do this to me. No, it's not Corey in the Corey. It's close, though. It's Koro Sensei, who Corey in the House turned into to become... No, I'm just kidding. Koro Sensei, he is amazing. And I don't want to really spoil what happens in the anime because it's just that good. And I think this is one that's worth not spoiling. But Koro Sensei, he's this man who is an octopus man. And he goes to this bottom feeder class and, number 1, tries to teach them to the best of his ability. And he is an amazing teacher, so they become really good students. Number 2, they're trying to assassinate him at every single moment, and he's teaching them to be assassins. And so there's this funny dichotomy where he's teaching and also avoiding these bullets, knives, everything that are specially made to kill him. And it's just such a good anime to where I don't want to spoil the rest. He's just goated, dude. Number 1 for me.
Oh, man, I definitely need to watch that show. It's only 50 episodes. I'm going to watch it soon. Oh, man. Okay, I'll move on to my number 1. You want to take a guess, or should I just go for it?
Just go for it, dude.
Okay, so my number 1 is from an anime called Mob Psycho, and it's Reigen. Reigen is basically the the sensei from Mob, not like in terms of like teacher in school, but like he's like the owner of this business that expels spirits, and Mob is like working under him.
Did you know that they live in the same universe as One Punch Man?
Oh, really? I did not know that.
No, there's just like a panel where Saitama and who's that cyborg guy again?
Genos?
Genos. Saitama and Genos are eating ramen, and then Mob and his sensei are eating ramen in the same place.
Oh, really? That was cool. I remember in the first episode of Mob Psycho, Reagan has like a wallpaper of Saitama on his cell phone. So I thought that was cool. But okay, so this man is running this like ghost. He's basically like running a Ghostbuster agency. But this man has zero psychic powers. He relies on Mob to basically expel all the ghosts. And in the first episode, there's this scene where he goes to the scene alone and there's like this spirit there haunting these people. And you're like, oh man, okay, I get to see his psychic powers in action. This man takes out a bag of salt, grabs a bunch, and then does a salt punch. Like punches the spirit in the face. And then the narration goes and says, Reagan's special attack, where he takes salt and punches a spirit in the face. And like the narration put it over the top. And then he brings the wrong salt. It's not anti-purification salt. It's just store salt. So he messed up. So it didn't work. And that's when he calls Mobs in. But just Reagan as an overall character he's so funny. And he's like a sensei character, kind of like Koro Sensei, but he's the exact opposite. Where he's such a terrible influence on Mob. He's basically using him for his own benefit in this agency where he can use him to like dispel all these like evil spirits and stuff. And it's super funny, and he's so hypocritical. Like, towards the end of season 1, there's this arc where Mob's brother is captured in this evil organization. So, Mob also goes and he's captured as well, due to like some like situations. So Reagan walks in and he gets to Mob. Being Reagan, he like gets people to think he's the main boss of the entire organization, like without even like attempting to think and manipulate people to thinking that. And then he gets Mob and he's preaching to Mob like, you know, you shouldn't use your powers for violence and hurting other people, which is, you know, a good thing to say. And so he's like preaching about this no violence, and he's like, okay, let me take care of this. So he goes up to one of the villains, right? And he has one of those like hypnosis things with the like circle, and it goes back and forth like a pendulum. And so like these villains are like, oh, this is Mob Sensei. He's probably super strong because Mob is so strong. So he's walking up to this guy with the hypnosis thing. And he's like, pay careful attention to this. And the guy is, then he just punches him in the face. And then afterwards he's like, like you should not, don't use violence. And then everyone's like, wait a second, didn't you just punch him in the face? He's a super funny character. He's like the highlight of the show for me. And he gets development in season 2 as well. And, you know, he learns, like, oh, he's been using Mob, and, like, that's not good. But he's always, deep down, he's a good guy.
So you think he's funnier than Gintoki?
I mean, if he had more episodes, he would have gotten me to laugh more, probably. This guy is the highlight of the show. It's a shame it's, like, only 24 episodes, but, man, this guy is so funny. And, like, every time he's in, like, a scene, like, the show is so much better. And that's why he's like number 1 for me. Okay.
So essentially what I get from Escanor in terms of epicness, you get from this guy in terms of hilarity.
Yeah, dude. He has like so many cool special moves like Salt Splash, Salt Punch, Hypnosis Punch. Oh my goodness. He's funny. He's way too funny.
He sounds hilarious, dude.
Yeah, and that's why he's number 1.
Hey, man. I can't complain with either of our top 10s. I think these are the definitive top 10s. There are no other ones that can exist or will exist because these are the greatest.
Yeah, we are right. No one else is ever right.
Facts. Thank you for watching the 1ND podcast. This has been our top 10 favorite anime characters. Follow us on all our social medias at 1NDcasts, and we are out.
Cool. Thank you guys for listening. Peace out.